Okay, so let's take some time. I picked up this Avatar. It's in pretty bad condition here, and I want to see if I can get it working fully, and then I'll probably sell it again or give it away. But I picked this up, and it came exactly like this. It came with no screws, and we'll open this up, and I'll show you the bottom's basically falling out. And if I can get it off, yes, here we go. So picking this up here, we've got, you know, main board, some processing. We've got our output board, which none of these ribbon cables, I mean, this one's completely off. It looks like this connects to our output board. So here's what I'm thinking I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna set it to the side. I don't know the condition of this. I don't know what kind of condition it's in. He told me when he gave it to me that he thought that it wasn't powering on at all. So here's what I'm thinking we'll do. Let's take each one of these boards out because it's impossible to work with these ribbon cables on the top and everything. Let's take all of these boards out, set up an environment where we can run this outside of its casing and just test for power. Let's see what we can get working on this and what's not working. So if I pop out these screws here, come on, there we go. Oh, missed a screw. Missed another screw. That looks like we got it. Main board. Set that to the side. They call this the core board. Take that out, set that to the side, and we're left with an empty plate here, which, a random piece of paper, nothing written on it. Get this, set this to the side. So now what we can do is kind of piece this together. Put these together. It's all gonna sit like this, right? And then we can take our pad here, flip that around, and have that be our base. Put everything together on this. So the reason I'm doing it that way is so we can hopefully connect this all and get some screen activity and know that we've got power. It's just, there's other ways to know that we've got power, but that's probably the easiest. So if I set this here, we'll flip it upside down. Pop of these out here. All these ribbon cable inserts. Wiggle this in. Slide it in. Make sure that we're getting a good connection on these. Awesome. try and make sure we don't get a short from this board to this board. This here is going to connect to this here. What's really interesting about that is this ribbon cable kind of came with some into it. That's bright, so it's not picking it up very well. So I don't know if I'm gonna, it's almost like this came completely unsoldered. But I don't know from where. Doesn't seem like it came unsoldered from anywhere. This connects to this. That's pretty easy. Theoretically should be. Though I'll say this much. It looks like the clips for this is missing, which is not good. We can't get this connected. We're going to have a difficult time. That's for sure. This connects to this. Let's see if we can get it connected. Does it connect in this way? Or you know what? Looks like this connects to this. I think we may have just solved the mystery, guys. I don't know why this came connected into here, but it looks like that probably goes there. And this probably connects into here. No, see, that can't be right. Because this is more pins. Whereas this is maybe the perfect amount of pins. Yes, it is. This should go into here. Connect into here. Though we'll have to figure out how to get this connected properly. Considering it won't push in without the missing clip. That only leaves us with this, which is also going to be a mystery. Because I've got to try and figure out how this possibly slides into this. Seems like it doesn't. You know, if I remove this, let me get some tweezers here. I'm wondering at this point if I remove this pin here. Will this just slide into this? Will that work? No. It won't work. So this clearly goes to something else. Clearly. How strange. How strange. Well, let's not worry. I'll tell you what. Let's not worry about this output board for now. At this point, we just want to see if the thing powers on. So I'm going to set this output board to the side. If we have to find another ribbon cable or something later on, we can. Let's get, right now we have the screen connected, and we're about to get these connected. That is, to me, what matters. See? We'll borrow that from there. This should line up in there perfectly. We should be able to just slide this in here now. Proving to be more difficult than it should be. I'll tell you what, this seems easier. Let's get it in here first. Trying to orient by the side. Seems like it might be. Is anything stuck in there? Seems unlikely. Just not making a good connection, guys. Just really not wanting to connect properly. I might maybe take some of these forceps, start pushing this in. How about that? Looks like we might be making a decent connection now. Key term on that is might, but we'll test it. Now this is going to connect to this. Cables are tricky. But I think we got it. Okay. Now. You know what? I just thought about this. What has our 9-volt connection? What has our 9-volt connection? Well, I'll tell you what it does. This board. 9-volt connection here. So we're going to need to figure out how to connect these. No matter what. Between here and here. We've been given this the weird end on it. It's up to us to figure out how that fits. Seems to me like this is not the original ribbon cable. That is what it seems to me like is the case. In fact, I can guarantee that's not the case because it's not even the right size. Not the right size, guys. Okay, cool. So this is nothing. Nothing to us. It means nothing to us. So let's try and figure out a different way we can test voltage. That means we need to start doing some tracing. We need to start doing some tracing. Figure out where our voltage input happens. So, first things first, I'll try and show everybody. I'm inspecting this, and I can already see that we have a damage trace here. This whole thing looks like it's been torn into and completely messed with. So we'll restore it, but it's going to take definitely some tinkering. Damage trace. And it looked like there was a capacitor taken out here. Capacitor that's no longer there. So this capacitor was taken out, ripped the trace on this, I'm assuming 9 volt, I haven't looked it up, but I'm assuming it's a 9 volt, center positive, center negative. We'll find that out, we'll figure that out. And then, so we'll need to repair that. Okay. Not too difficult. We'll need to replace it, put a new capacitor here, or we could honestly bypass the capacitor. That wouldn't be the world's biggest deal if you have a high quality power supply coming from the wall, DC power supply, because this is just doing a bit of filtering. But regardless, we'll probably put a new cap in there. And let's do a little voltage reading here. So we pass through from, and we're going to be listening for a beep. We pass through from this trace here to okay, pin 2 and 3 here on this side of this input-output board. And it seems like ground, which is probably where this capacitor was going to over here, is probably pin 1 over here. And that is correct. So, I'll do a little writing on this. Why not? I'm not afraid. It's not going to make it in any worse condition than it's already in, which is quite bad, to be honest. So we've got ground. Then we've got positive voltage. So I'll just remember that based on that writing. And hopefully that's it. Hopefully everything else is going to work. So we'll, put a new cap in. We'll repair this trace. We'll find a working ribbon cable to go between here and here. And then we'll plug it all in and give it a test. So tonight I can repair this trace. I can put a new cap in. I don't know what cap this was, what value cap this was, but we'll put in, a decent filter cap. And then I can't find a new ribbon cable tonight, unfortunately. Fairly confident that this won't work though. But we'll get that far. And then I'll make a second follow-up video to this video, a part 2, where we see if that fixes everything, and then I'll give it a nice clean, the whole unit, clean it all up because it's pretty dirty. And hopefully we'll have a good working unit here. So let me get readjusted here. So we come out of an inductor. So what I'll do is stand by. We'll take some small wire. Nothing crazy. Some wire like that. Stand by. We'll take a small wire like this and there's a couple ways we can do this. This is damaged pretty bad. So we could run it from this inductor. Actually, here's what we'll do. I'll take a capacitor. Let's figure out what kind of capacitor we want to use. Small value, small voltage. Probably we'll probably want to use a 10 volt. Let's take a look at my capacitor kit and see what our capacitor options are. Let's see, we have 16 volt, which would be good. 220. Probably don't even need 220. We could probably do 100 microfarad 16 volt and have no problem with that. It's just a filter cap. It doesn't have to really be rocket science. I probably don't even need to replace it with another cap, but I'm going to, at least for good practice sake. So here's what I'll do. I'll cut the leads really short. It will sit like this. on there. I'll solder to the inductor's output and the ground, obviously, to the ground. Okay, and then I'll glue this down all nice. And then I'll run this wire, this 9-volt wire here, I'll run it to the lead connection point of the capacitor. Then I'll run it over here. We'll obviously tape it down, run it nice and neat, as neat as we can. Glue it down probably. And then I'll try my best to solder it to our 9-volt point here. So let's start by soldering this cap. Turn my soldering iron on. Let's get some solder out. Let's go ahead and flux it a little bit too. Why not? Can't hurt. I don't always flux. Most of the time I do. But I pretty much always flux when we're dealing with surface mount devices. So, this should be hot already. Let me see if I can get a good angle on this other camera for you. It's not perfect, but it's a lot better. So I'll solder our ground here. Let's go ahead and reflow this. Solder joint here. That's a big glob of solder. Slightly cold joint. It's going to hold just fine. What I'll do is I'll take this, bend this in just like that. And I'll probably clip on the end and hold it here. Let's go ahead and run some more solder on this. Actually, let's pull this capacitor out of the way for a moment. Try and flow some solder in on this base of this lead here. Hopefully get it to stick. Come on, flow for me. Excellent. Now I'll run this cap back. Perfect. Now, we'll just make it look nice and pretty. I don't have a surface mount capacitor, or else I would have done that. But this will certainly do. Okay. What do we think about that? Now, what you can do is we'll want to tin the end of this wire here. Excuse me a moment, I'm going to tin this off camera. Okay. I can take this, make this a connection onto here. Sorry, I know my hand is in the way. You won't see this beautiful solder job, but that's all right. Okay, that's what we're dealing with there. What we'll do is run this as flat across here as we can. We'll kind of glue it down in a couple places, make it look nice. And then I'll cut it roughly here. Set that aside. We'll strip that. I'll want to tin that. Clean the tip of my gun real quick. Okay. Now, try our best to run this as flat as we can. Try and not make any shorts as we go across, and solder to the output. It'll be a little tricky, but we'll make it happen. So first of all, let's tin this, the positive output of our get some fresh solder flowing on that. Throw a little liquid flux on there, just quick and easy. Drop here, throw it as well on the wire. Try our best to make a good connection here. If I hold it too close, I know it's going to hurt like the dickens for a second. Come on. Let me examine that closely, make sure we don't have any shorts. But I think that'll do it. I'm going to use the meter to make sure we don't have any shorts while I'm at it. No shorts as far as I can tell. I'm also checking to make sure we have complete continuity from the center pin. All the way through. And yes, we do. Okay. Great. So theoretically, I'm going to do some glue up work here. Try and make sure that we can prevent shorts. I'll probably, I don't want to glue here because that's going to make it very difficult to repair in the future, but I'm going to try and do a little wire manipulation just to make sure doesn't in the future run across any other traces that 9 volts doesn't need to be running across in the future. Glue down in a couple places here. Glue down this cap just a little bit. I'm not going to do a lot of glue work because I want this to still be serviceable in the future. But I think that will serve us for tonight. And I will catch you on the next one. Thank you for joining.